Hello, it's Deborah from the attic, and today we're just going to have a wee chat about a winter journal that I made last year. I want to show you a couple of things that I did because I'm going to be adding to this, and I thought it would be quite fun to revisit it together. This is a journal that I made for myself, so it's quite personal. The colour choices are quite personal. It's heavily textured, there's lots of white in there, which is what I like. Never be afraid of the white space, it can really make everything else pop. And I gave it a title, I called it Wintersmith, and that comes partly from the Old English word smith, which referred to somebody who made things, who was creative, so a goldsmith or a blacksmith. And I thought Wintersmith, creating my own winter, might be a good title for a journal. I filled it partly with pages that I created, but mostly with pages from a kit downloaded from Screech Owl Studio on Etsy. You'll find her there, she's got loads and loads of kits. I love this style, I love the subtlety of the images and how they blend into the scene around them. So I really like her images and her kits. I've got several, and I filled this with lots of pictures of my dog. He always makes me smile, and I wanted to keep a memory of things that had happened. So I've got lots and lots of tuck spots. I've added some photographs of things that I did, projects that I did in the winter. This is a Christmas card that I made, or the front of a Christmas card that I made, and I decided to make several, so I kept one for myself as a reminder. I added lace through my journal, I added parchment through my journal as well, and this was just a really nice memory of last winter, which was quite busy. And I also included lyrics for songs that I particularly liked. There's a few in the front here. It's always interesting to come back and look at these and see if they have the same meaning for you the following year. I didn't want this just to be about one year though. I didn't just want this to be about one particular winter. I wanted this to be a journal that I could pick up and look at in years to come, and it would reflect a whole range of winters that I'd had. And the other thing about this journal is I didn't want it to be a consecutive layout. You know, when you start a blank page at one end of a journal or a book and you work your way through sequentially, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to just tuck things in any old place it suited me, anywhere that I liked, because if this is about winter, it shouldn't matter what year it's about, it should just be about the memories of that winter. So I'm going to be adding a page here. I've already cut some elements down, I've already chosen some colours, and I've printed off some photographs. Now I use an HP Sprocket. It's a really brilliant little handy gizmo. It's not there to make wonderful photos. You will not get beautiful photos with this little gizmo, but you will get memories. And I've printed out the things that were a particular memory for me on a trip that we had a week before Christmas to Baden-Baden in Germany. And I've printed off some of the photos that that have got some memories and some meanings for me, and I want to include them in my journal here. So the quality of the photographs is what it is, and if you can get around that, it's a very useful way of keeping pictures. So for example, I've got several of my dog. These are not the best quality, but this is a picture of him smiling, which it always makes me smile. And this is just a picture of him looking scruffy after a scruffy walk. So it's about memories rather than about the quality of the photograph. Going back to the page that I want to use today, I've got a couple of pages here that I can use, and I want to start by adding a little commentary that I've put on the back of this postcard of our trip. So that's my memories in words, and I want to give myself a spot to tuck that into. I've got this is the flap of an envelope. It's really cheating. So all I need to do is take away the protective layer on the sticky label and glue that down, and I've got a really useful little space to tuck things into. So if you're feeling a bit lazy or you can't be bothered going and getting anything special, stick the top of an envelope, and that'll give you a really useful tuck spot. I've got something that, these are elements that I've already die cut, and I found them in my stash. I keep things like this because you never know when they're going to be handy to make a quick journal page. And I want to use the white and I want to use a snowflake, but I don't want to do them like that because that's just too obvious. I want to use them a little bit differently. I'm going to fix them to the outside of my page rather than to the inside of my page. When you're making a journal, it's a good idea to give yourself space here. Don't squash everything in here because then that will put real stress on the seam wherever you've attached your pages. If you can put things on the outside, it means that the journal is not under pressure here. I'm going to get some glue and I'm going to stick those things down. The best thing I've learned about journaling is to do it, not to worry about it too much, not to worry about it looking perfect, because then that can stop you. That can be a real barrier to actually doing something and a real barrier to creativity. If you want to put a new page in your journal, don't overthink it. What I do want to do is add a little tag saying that this is Baden-Baden. Now in the front I keep strips of paper. These are really useful and I use them throughout my journal. Let me find an example. Here's an example. So I will just write on my bit of paper, stick it on my postcard, whatever the subject is, and then that's it. And again, it's a way of stopping you overthinking it. If you've got little things like this ready to just mark up what's going on, that's it, job's done. So I've got my strip of paper, got my fountain pen for writing out my titles. Because I've used a fountain pen, it's a good idea to use blotting paper just to make sure your ink dries and you don't smudge it. I'm going to stick that onto my postcard rather than onto the pocket, the tuck spot, because if I decide to move things around later on, I would be committed to that page being about that subject matter. But this way, I can lift that out, I can move it, I can put it somewhere else. It's just nice if you want to jiggle your journal around a bit. Then I can begin adding my photographs. There's lots of ways that you can add these. You can glue them in, you can tuck them into places, you can use some washi tape and you can secure them down with a die cut as well. I'm going to use washi tape. This is the tape I'm going to use. It's trees, pines, and I think that's appropriate because Baden-Baden is in the Black Forest. So I'm going to add some of these in a sort of a randomy way because I don't want to get hung up on over designing it and overthinking it. I just want them to be in there. And I think we'll have a couple here. Now if I have more time in the future, I can come back and I can add embellishments, or I can add some more journaling words around these events if I want to. But working this way means that I've identified the key memories, I've printed off the photos, and they are in my journal. So often, I'm sure so many of us are guilty of this, but so often I think I've got so many good intentions, and then by the time you've moved on 2 or 3 weeks, you've completely forgotten to do it. This way, it's a bit sort of quick, but it means that when you open the book again, you have got the memories in there. However incomplete and however hurried they may be, they are in your book. And then when you have time, you can reflect, then you can add whatever you want to them. So that was just a wee chat about a winter journal, and I hope you'll join me again soon. And until we meet again, take care.